What's ripening YouTube? It's Sunday afternoon. Been working all day. It's gonna get cold pretty soon. Well, Florida cold, so maybe like in the 60s. But seems like the right time to make some biochar. So here's my system right here. Normally I do it in a burn pit. I have a big burn pit over there, and a lot of stuff waiting to be burned, as you can see. Normally I just do big burn pits like that, and then once the coals get kind of piled up and big, I have this metal wheelbarrow that I just put on the top and just kind of smother what's left, and usually I get a pretty good chunk of biochar that way. But today I'm going to use something else. This is something that I've made a couple months ago, and it's been too hot for me to care to burn anything, but I think it's cold enough now. This is what's called a top load updraft biochar kiln, and it's just made of a steel 55-gallon drum. As you can see, I've drilled holes all around the bottom of it. That's for the intake of air, and then the top is open. I've got it full of really dry, this is like palm, like cassava sticks and Brazilian pepper sticks from when I was cutting them earlier this year. I saved like the straight pieces and just shoved them straight down in there. And then here's the top piece. This is another 55-gallon barrel. As you can see, I drilled a hole in the top and then just kind of bent the corners. I just hacksawed the hole, bent the corners, put this chimney piece on top just with these self-tapping screws. I've got a chimney pipe that goes on that. I'll show you in just a second. And basically, this top piece sits right on top of that and concentrates the airflow. It flows the air straight up through the top pipe. There'll be a little bit of it coming through here as a secondary burn. If you know much about biochar, you know about all that stuff. That's not really the purpose of this film. The purpose of this film is to document my first attempt with this new kiln. So without any further ado, I'm going to set up the camera and get burning. Alright, so what you just saw was just lighting the beginning of the burn. Basically I just dried up a bunch, or just piled up a bunch of dried pine needles and leaves and whatever I found that was dry, put it on top, started the fire, let that start, and then place this secondary chamber on top, and then place the chimney piece, and the chimney's up there. It's just still getting started right now. You can see inside that it's burning on the very top. The idea is that as this is going to go, it's going to burn down. That's why they call it top load updraft. So it's going to burn from the top down, and as it goes, hopefully the oxygen will be low enough that we'll end up with biochar instead of a whole bunch of wood ash. In my case, I prefer to have the biochar, but the wood ash isn't actually a bad thing either. I can use that. I can use it around my bananas and coconuts and bamboo and whatever. I won't get as much out of it. It won't be very productive that way. So let's watch, see what happens, and hopefully this will burn down properly. So far it looks like it's burning all the way around. Maybe not so much on this side, but I think it'll go. About 10 minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. You can see the outside of the barrel starting to burn the paint off, and you can see how far down the burn has gone in the barrel. One thing about the first burn is you can watch on the outside as it burns down. It's pretty hot in there. I actually can't get that close comfortably. It's radiating a lot of heat. I think it's burning fairly evenly all the way around. And if I look up, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, there's no real appreciable amount of smoke coming out, which is basically what you want. You want a complete burn. You're trying not to have a bunch of smoke. Alright, so the biochar oven kiln is still going. It's been 20 minutes or so. You can see it's only burned down about a third of the way, but it's still burning pretty good. It's really hot down there. I can see the coals in there. But while that's burning, I wanted to figure, while I'm playing with fire, I'll show you my other fire invention that I made. This is kind of my take on a rocket stove. If you remember the biochar oven, I used half of a metal barrel to make part of it. Well, the other half looks like that, and basically I'm using it as my kitchen now. So I have this metal grate that I can set over the top like so. You can use it as a grill or to put pots on top of it. But the cool thing is, I made it into a rocket stove. I put these concrete blocks, so there's a vent that comes from the outside and comes up through the middle. And it seems to be working pretty good. That's my first time trying this too. You can see the paint's just starting to burn a little bit on the outside. I'm trying to do this before I cook with it. I wanted to burn some of the paint off so I don't get fumes all in my food. But anyway, like I said, while I'm playing with fire, I figure I'd show you my other experiment that I'm messing with. I'm not sure how long it's going to take to do this biochar. I'm thinking at this rate probably going to be another half hour or so, maybe 40 minutes. It's not making that much noise, but it's not making any smoke. So I think it's doing well. Let's see what it looks like when it's done. Alright, it's been almost an hour, and I just noticed it started to smoke out of the top. You can probably see that now. It's the smoke. So what I'm going to do is take the lid off and just take a look and see how far down it's burned. And obviously I can't do that while holding the camera, so stay with me. Hang on. Ooh, that's hot. I think I'm happy with what I have so far, so I'm going to go ahead and pour it into my wheelbarrow and then douse it with water to stop it from burning off all the char, so stay with me. Alright, so I basically just tilted the jar over into this wheelbarrow, and I'm just going to finish pushing it over. And as you can see, I didn't get everything burned, but I got pretty good. It's going to light up, so I'm going to go ahead and pour water on it. Try to put this out before it burns everything off. Yeah, I just poured bucket number 1. That definitely slowed it down. I can see there's a lot of char in here. I'm going to need a little, I got one more bucket I can put on this to put it out. And I can see there's wood that wasn't burned, so if I did this again, I'm going to let it go a little longer. But this is just my first try, so this is how I learn. I learn by trying stuff. Alright, so I'm going to pour the second jug of water on, and hopefully that'll be enough to put out the fire, stop it from burning any further. Alright, so I just separated all the wood that didn't get burned. It's pretty obvious. I didn't let this batch go long enough. Here's the wood that was at the bottom. It was just stuffed in there that hadn't gotten burned yet. And then here's the char that I got. It's still cooling off a little bit. All this came from that 55-gallon bucket. That's a pretty good, you know, it's not a whole wheelbarrow load, but half a wheelbarrow load. I think if I had done the whole thing, I might have filled this whole wheelbarrow up. So it's a pretty good first try. Next time I'll let it burn longer and hopefully end up with a little more material. Anyway, that's the end of biochar experiment number 1.